The Golden State Warriors can go all in and destroy the NBA by making the move that we're going to talk about on today's show. My name is Tyler Smith. You're watching Warriors Today. And before we start, I got to ask you guys one question. Do you want the Golden State Warriors front office to go all in and make the trade that could legitimately make Golden State a true championship contender or even a championship favorite once again? Type Y for yes, type N for no down in the comments section, and we'll get started with today's show. What's going on, Dub Nation? You're watching Warriors Today by Chat Sports, and on today's show, yes, the all-in move that Golden State can make to get themselves back into championship contention is a trade for the Greek freak Giannis Antetokounmpo. According to NBA Insider Marc Stein, Golden State is on a short list of teams that are potentially interested in a trade for Giannis Antetokounmpo if he does, in fact, become available. Now, Marc Stein, a very reputable source, runs a great Substack and is always tapped in with the need-to-know basis things that you need to know in the NBA. And as far as the teams that are interested in a Golden State in a trade for Giannis Antetokounmpo, it's the Golden State Warriors, the Miami Heat, the New York Knicks, and the Brooklyn Nets. Now, as far as these teams go, and groups or players that I would want to play with, if I was Giannis Antetokounmpo, Stephen Curry would be at the top of my list. Regardless of all 30 teams in the NBA, I'd want to play with Steph if I was Giannis. But as far as this crop of teams go, I mean, yeah, you could argue the New York Knicks with Jalen Brunson and the core that they've built there in New York, but you'd likely have to break up a lot of that if you're New York trading for Giannis. Probably going to have to give up Karl-Anthony Towns. Probably going to have to give up some of the young players that they brought in, and that team would virtually have no depth like they have right now. It would get even thinner if they brought in Giannis. So I feel like Brooklyn has the opportunity to send Milwaukee a ton of picks. Miami has some weird trade package that I don't really think is viable enough. Golden State has a little bit of a mixture of both, but the real reason that we're talking about this today is because the Milwaukee Bucks are not good. They are actually pretty horrific so far this NBA season. They started things out with a 1-6 record. Last in the Eastern Conference. That ain't good. That's not something that Giannis Antetokounmpo wants to be doing 3 years removed from winning a championship. As far as cap space goes, they're in total hell. $67 million, and they're over that second apron. Very, very difficult for them to improve via trade, and we obviously know they don't have any room to do so in free agency. 0 first-round picks. This is what I was honestly floored by. The fact that they don't own, or I guess they do not have control of their first-round pick in the NBA draft until 2031. We're going to be at the end of like 2 more presidential terms by the time the Milwaukee Bucks can control their destiny in the first round of the NBA draft. And the worst of it all, potentially, is what really, like, honestly, a hole that Giannis himself put the Milwaukee Bucks in, asking to go out and trade for Damian Lillard, trading away Drew Holiday, who just won another NBA championship with the Boston Celtics. Damian Lillard still has 2 years and $112 million left on that contract. I mean, that is just unbelievable. And it's honestly disrespectful to a player of Giannis' caliber to be handed the situation that the Milwaukee Bucks are in right now. I mean, look what he does year after year after year. I'm not even going to bring up his stats from this year through 8 or 9 games so far because it's not fair to you and it's not fair to him. But as far as the last couple of seasons go, it's consistent. 30, 11 every single night, and you're getting it on 55 to 60% shooting night in and night out. And in my opinion, Giannis has become underrated in a sense where, you know, he's not talked about as this flashy guy, this brand new car driving down the street anymore. He's kind of gone by the wayside. He's been forgotten about with the way that he was injured in the postseason last year. Milwaukee didn't really do much that was threatening in the regular season and into the postseason. They were hurt. Lillard was hurt. There was a total coaching carousel. They bring in Doc Rivers, who, let's be honest, a lot of people around the NBA don't think he's that great of a coach and doesn't really contribute that well to winning, especially in the postseason. So the Bucks are kind of at a crossroads, and Giannis himself has kind of gone by the wayside when it talks about when conversations are brought up about the best player in the world. I think he is still firmly the second best player in the NBA, but Milwaukee kind of has him trapped with the position that they're in right now. And that's why I bring up now that the media around the NBA world is waiting on a Giannis Antetokounmpo trade request. Now, Milwaukee has come out and said just very recently in the past 24 hours or so that they are looking to still improve this roster via trade. They're looking for a trade partner out there that can help bring them back into contender status. I'm not so sure that a team out there is going to have a deal that who are they going to go out there and trade for? Damian Lillard, untradeable contract. Who are they going to trade for? Chris Middleton? I don't see how you recoup equal enough value back, especially to win right now if you're trading away Chris Middleton. That seems like somebody that would be thrown away to a lottery bound team when Milwaukee is entering a rebuild mode. That's what I think is going to happen here, right? I mean, with Milwaukee really not probably being able to find a suitable trade partner, I don't see a world in which they get better this season. I don't see a world where Milwaukee gets back to contender status by adding somebody new to their roster because they just don't have the facilities. They don't have the resources to get it done right now, especially being past that second apron. And I'll bring up today's pinned comment now. Should the Warriors trade for Giannis? Let me know down in the comments section by typing T for trade, type P for pass. This will be the pinned comment on today's video, so YouTube might throw you a little bit of an ad break right here. So while that ad plays, go down below and answer today's pinned comment in the comments section, and we'll get on with the rest of today's show. Now, next up, we're going to talk about why the Warriors should trade for Giannis, plus dive into 3 different Giannis Antetokounmpo trade ideas. But before we do, I got to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor, Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports platform with over 10 million active members. And you can get free money from Prize Picks by making an account today using our code CLNS and placing a $5 entry. Now, you might be asking, Tyler, how do you place an entry at all on Prize Picks? Well, it's daily fantasy made easy. All you guys got to do is pick a lineup of 2 to 6 players, stat projections, and just pick more or less, whether it's rebounds in basketball, goals in hockey, fantasy points in football. They have everything, even esports on Prize Picks. Here's what I have going out tonight. You see the new Prize Picks interface is looking fresh, looking clean. I got LaMelo Ball, more than 28.5 points in a hopefully high-powered offensive game against the Indiana Pacers. Chet Holmgren, more than 3.5 blocks plus steals in what I think is going to be a more defensive-oriented game against the Houston Rockets. Miles Turner, less than 5 three-pointers attempted. I think he's going to be operating more in the paint today against a weak front court in Charlotte. And Josh Hart, less than 12.5 points. I think this is a get-right game for the Milwaukee Bucks, so I like Josh Hart to hit the less. But you can take my picks. You can fade my picks. Just make sure you go and do it at Prize Picks, prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use that promo code CLNS to get $50 for free when you place a $5 entry. You don't even need to win to receive the $50. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. Now, trading for Giannis Antetokounmpo, let's be honest, guys, it's going to cost a lot, but I think it is well worth it for the Golden State Warriors. Think about the one thing that this team has been missing, the one thing this team has been really beat on through the past, or I guess the first 8 games of the NBA season, and that's in the front court, on the glass, and at the rim. They really don't have the true interior rim protecting presence. Shout out to a guy like Kevon Looney coming up in a big moment in the fourth quarter against the Boston Celtics, grabbing critical offensive rebounds. Trey Jackson-Davis, earlier in the game, though, when he was matched up against a guy like Neemias Queta, who's clearly just a bigger player and has progressed into a better player for the Boston Celtics, he was kind of getting babied around. Al Horford had his way in the post. It seemed like even with a Boston Celtics team that doesn't particularly have a strong suit at that center spot, they were still able to have their way down low. Think about Ivica Zubac and the Warriors' lone loss of the season. He had, 18 and 15 on you? Like, the Warriors are going to have to address their lack of size at some point, and I think trading for Giannis Antetokounmpo not only addresses that, but also obviously gives Stephen Curry a primary, but also secondary score, somebody he can work off of and somebody who the Warriors can rely upon to get buckets night in and night out. Now, remember when the Warriors said they were going all in this summer, and that's what they wanted to do? That was their plan. Their all-in plan was to acquire 2 superstars to pair up next to Steph and Draymond. That was for Paul George and Lauri Markkanen. Giannis Antetokounmpo is a 2-time MVP, a Defensive Player of the Year, an NBA champion, and an NBA Finals MVP. That is something that neither one of those 2 players can say about any one of those accolades. Going all in would be going in for Giannis Antetokounmpo. I mean, I don't see how Giannis doesn't make you a true title contender basically off the rip. I think the chemistry would be there immediately. I don't think it would be a scenario that like they want to work out in Milwaukee right now, adding in Damian Lillard. Everybody was saying when that trade happened, oh, Damian Giannis pick and roll is going to be nasty. That's not how Giannis plays the game. I think Stephen Curry is somebody who could be better suited up next to him, and I think Giannis knows that as well. He's called Steph Curry as recently as this summer the best player in the world. So why would there be any reasoning as to why these 2 players wouldn't want to go and play with each other? Now, I have a couple different Giannis Antetokounmpo, trade ideas that I want to share with you guys. Now, don't kill me in the comments section because these come not from my heart, but from heavy.com and from a radio station called 95.7 The Game, as many of you are familiar with. So, here's the first trade idea from heavy.com. Trade idea number 1, Giannis Antetokounmpo and Bobby Portis. So, you're getting another solid rotational player that you're going to rely upon to get some buckets as well in Bobby Portis. But the kicker is with this deal, you're giving up Draymond Green. Draymond Green as well as Jonathan Kuminga, Andrew Wiggins, Lindy Waters III, and 2 first-round picks. Now, as far as this trade goes, I don't really see a reason why either team would want to include Draymond Green in this deal because what sense does it make, right? The Milwaukee Bucks should be prioritizing either young players or draft capital rather than players that would contribute to winning now. Draymond Green's on the plus side. He's nearly 35 at this point, and what would he do for Milwaukee? Especially with the contributions that he makes statistically in Golden State. Like, he provides value beyond the box score in Golden State. What kind of value is he going to provide in a Milwaukee Bucks organization that does not include Giannis Antetokounmpo? I don't think it would be much, and I don't think that Milwaukee would want to bring in a guy like Draymond Green when they probably would be most likely trying to get younger. What's the point of bringing in a Jonathan Kuminga if you're bringing in Draymond Green to take minutes for him? I don't see what the reasoning would be for Milwaukee to make that deal, but trade idea number 2 from heavy.com. He said, they mentioned that both of these trades work within the confines of the new CBA. Giannis straight up for Jonathan Kuminga, Brandon Pajemski, Andrew Wiggins, Kyle Anderson, Lindy Waters III, and the 2 first-round picks. So bigger crop of players, arguably a more valuable crop of players in Milwaukee's point of view, going out in this deal. And I don't hate this for Golden State. I understand that it's a lot, but at the same time, am I going to predict that this trade goes down? I'm going to say no. I mean, the Warriors have already talked about how much priority they're placing on Brandon Pajemski, how much value they have on Brandon Pajemski. I just remember I remember reading a quote that came out this week about the Warriors and Paul George not coming to terms on a trade because the Warriors were not willing to give up Jonathan Kuminga or Brandon Pajemski. Only one of them was asked by the Clippers to get back in the deal, and Golden State decided that they were not going to have either one of those included. So it seems to me like they have too much of a high price tag on Brandon Pajemski to even trade him potentially for Giannis Antetokounmpo, which I think would be legitimately insane if you ask me. If you want my official stance on whether or not, I said it over the summer. You guys don't even need my official stance. I said they should have traded him for one of those guys anyway. Warriors didn't, and who knows? They're right as of now. They are 7-1, but I'm still trying to get better. I'm still trying to contend for an NBA championship. That's why trade number 3 is my favorite idea. Giannis coming back for Brandon Pajemski and Kuminga, Andrew Wiggins, D'Anthony Melton, 2 first-round picks, and 2 pick swaps. Want to know why I included more draft picks in this deal? Because, by the way, this is 95.7 The Game's deal. They mentioned it was 4 first-round picks. I have to clarify that it is 2 first-round picks unprotected and 2 first-round pick swaps. Regardless, Warriors wouldn't have control of any of those 4 first-round picks. I think this is the deal that would get Milwaukee to at least open the phone lines, at least answer the phone and entertain this trade call from Golden State. I think they're going to want more picks than players, and if not, I had definitely some high priority young talent back in a trade. So I don't see any way that they accept any deal without control of at least 4 first-round picks. So if I'm Milwaukee, that is what the deal that would entice me the most. Trade number 3 is the deal that would entice me the most. Now, what would a potential core look like with Giannis Antetokounmpo in the building as a Golden State Warrior? I'll tell you, it is not too bad considering the production that we've seen from some of these Warriors so far this season. Stephen Curry and Giannis, obviously the best 1-2 punch in the league. Draymond Green. To keep Buddy Hield, which I think is massive, and this is obviously if they make that trade idea number 3 go down, you still have young talent in Trey Jackson-Davis and Moses Moody, as well as a ball mover in Kyle Anderson who can take over for Draymond Green down the line. So that, as far as a deal that could go down for Golden State acquiring Giannis, that 3rd trade is probably the best that we're going to get. It's probably the best that we're going to get. And I'll continue to talk about this more on social media. That's why you give me a follow at Smitty at CS. I think the Golden State Warriors should make a trade for Giannis Antetokounmpo if he does become available. But if he doesn't become available, we're obviously going to make another video. And that's why you subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/WarriorsTV, for any and all Golden State Warriors updates, news, rumors, trades, injuries. Does not matter. You're going to find it here at Warriors Today by Chat Sports. So hit that sub button for me. We'll see you in the next one. Let's go Dubs.